So I just saw the Five Nights at Freddy's 2 film about a day ago, or I guess 2 days now. I saw it December 4th, night of December 4th at 10 p.m. And I've been thinking a lot about it, and I haven't really had an outlet to express how I feel about the movie or really talk about it at all, because normally I just, tweet some shit, but I don't really want to do that because I have friends who haven't seen it, and I could post to Reddit, I guess, but that doesn't seem very productive. And so I thought, why not just speak it out loud, so I have just some place to, like, I don't even know, just lay out my feelings, lay out my thoughts. It's a pretty dense movie. I thought we'd look through some of the trailers, and definitely not an illegal copy of the film that I have on my computer that I'll be looking at while I talk, because there is one thing I can say about this movie is there is a lot to talk about, thankfully. I mean, honestly, we can just start with the trailer. This is the first official trailer. This wasn't the initial trailer they put out. They put out a teaser before this, but the teaser doesn't really show anything. And this is going to be a completely spoiler-filled talk. I'm not going to be holding back any spoilers. I'm going to be talking about everything I remember. I took some notes, so hopefully I'll remember to look at them. I felt like there's a lot here. A lot that's good, a lot that's bad, and a lot that's genuinely confusing from just a narrative point of view. If you've seen the movie, it's extremely messy. It's a very messy film. The trailer starts us off with our ghost hunting friends. We have our three ghost hunters who meet up with. Do they even show him? I don't remember, actually. There he is. You see him for a second. That's fucking Michael Afton. Michael Afton's in this film. Michael Afton is in the movie, and we'll be talking about him a lot. I was very adamant before the movie came out that this was not going to be Michael Afton, or if anything, he'd be named Michael or something, and they'd call him Mike, but that he would get killed, 10 seconds after the scene. Essentially, when Lisa gets killed. But no, this is Michael Afton. That's Michael Afton. Devious Daniel is Michael Afton. Did they show him at all? Which is very interesting. As the film was coming out, stuff got leaked, like, for sure. I mean, I think a script got leaked like way before the movie came out. Not a script, but a synopsis. So the idea that this guy actually was Michael Afton was floating around for a while, and I just didn't want to believe it. But I also feel very mixed. I mean, one, Scott is doing the thing. I had theorized that Scott would be trying to pull similar twists to the games, like pull them off in a way that would make them fresh, like the same kind of twist, quote unquote twist, but pull them off in a new way. And one of those being that Mike Schmidt is actually more important, or that Michael Afton, like, exists. In the games, you play as Mike Schmidt in FNaF 1. We don't know anything fucking about him until Sister Location, where you see Mike, and it's like, whoa, we're playing as Mike again. And then, you get the father. You get that whole thing at the end, revealing that he's Michael Afton. And they're doing something similar with the films. Not making Mike Michael Afton, but instead showing us that Michael Afton exists. Like, it's the reveal of Michael Afton, which is the twist. And it's played very differently in the movie, obviously, because he's a completely different character. On one hand, I think it's cool. When the first movie came out, I was a little disappointed, or I was holding on to hope. I was coping. You could say coping that Mike Schmidt was actually Michael Afton, because he specifically says, "My mom died. Garrett, Abby, and I's mom died after Garrett's death, and that our dad, quote unquote, couldn't handle it," or something along those lines, something very vague. And, part of me was like, well, they're keeping the fate of his dad vague enough to explore that in the future. And I thought maybe they would reveal that he was an Afton, and that him and Abby were Aftons. Maybe Abby less so. Maybe Abby was a step, like an adopted kid or something, which could open up like a bunch of different things. That could open up like nightmare test chambers and all that. So like I was kind of excited by it, but at the same time it didn't really fit 100% because like Vanessa's there, but at the same time Vanessa didn't mention anybody else. And look who we have in this fucking movie. Obviously when this trailer came out and we see Mike and Vanessa on a date, it was like, okay, maybe he isn't an Afton, but maybe we get the best of both worlds. I don't know. Like on one hand, this is extremely messy, having two characters named Michael. I mean, this has been talked to death, but like at the same time, Michael Afton's like my favorite FNaF character. I love Michael Afton. At least the implied Michael Afton. Obviously, nothing is really confirmed on his motives or what he does, but the sort of fan base's collective idea of Michael Afton, I think, is a really great character. I was kind of hoping to see him. And this guy, Freddie Carter, this guy looks like fucking Michael. Like that looks like Michael Afton. Like if I pictured Michael Afton in my head, he looks like this fucking guy. So I was a little excited. We'll get into it later about how this character is utilized, because it's not great, but I do also kind of like it. I feel very mixed on this character, but definitely a highlight in terms of acting. I think he was maybe the best actor in the movie. So they introduced Charlie, or Charlotte in the movie. They don't call her Charlie, they call her Charlotte, which I guess they do in the book, in the Silver Eyes too. She's introduced at the very beginning. It's the opening scene. Charlie is sitting by herself in front of the stage, waiting for the puppet to come out of the hatch. So Charlie's like way up there, waiting for the hatch door to open. She's sitting on the ground, she's not with any kids, and then young Vanessa comes up to her and is like, hey, you want to come sit with us, like whatever. This is in 1982, which was very interesting. That made me laugh in the movie. When it said 1982, I was like, oh, okay, all right, Scott. It's funny. It's kind of funny. I can't remember. I think that the MCI in this timeline happened in 87, I'm pretty sure. So having Charlie die 5 years before the MCI is like, it doesn't really make a difference. It's just funny. It made me laugh because it's 82. It's 1 year off the like consensus that of 83. I just thought that was funny. There's really no reason for it to be 82 as far as I'm aware. But it made me laugh. So she goes and sits at this table full of kids, some kid's birthday, I don't remember, and she sees a kid getting lured by Spring Bonnie into the back room. It's very strange. Like this whole event. Oh, they even show it here. Right here. It's this little boy who people thought was going to be Sammy, which, might as well, but like whatever. He's getting lured by Spring Bonnie in 1982. Charlie is still alive. Like, isn't that strange? It's as if Afton already has his sort of like his signature. He's already done it. It's as if this isn't his first murder. But there's no other murders mentioned. Henry later in the movie is like, everybody thought it was an accident, but when those 5 kids went missing, I knew who did it, insinuating that no one else had gone missing. So what is this? Why is Afton doing this? In the games, it's thought to be sort of a crime of passion, Charlie's death, if you believe that Charlie was the first one to die. You have Midnight Motorist establishing that he had been drinking, so maybe he went to Freddy's drinking, jealous, upset, whatever happened, something happened, upset about the bite victim, upset about who gives a fuck, and he kills Charlie outside the pizzeria. He sees Charlie trapped outside the pizzeria and murders her. If that is indeed his first kill, it's outside of this signature, Spring Bonnie lure kids into the back room that's usually associated with the MCI. So what is this? Why is he doing this? Like, it's very strange. I don't really know. And I didn't really think about it when the trailers were happening. Like, he's in Spring Bonnie costume luring kids. Like, how weird. I don't know. I don't know what to think of it. I really don't know. It's a weird detail. So a weird thing for Scott to introduce. Because, like, what the fuck does this even mean? Charlie wasn't the first? Ugh. I meant to preface this by saying I haven't listened to anybody else's review. I've only seen various tweets about the movie, but nothing like crazy. So this is all just off the dome. There are people who have probably figured this out tenfold at this point, so apologies. But it struck me as very strange in the movie. Like, it was there that I realized, like, this is weird. And so Charlie notices and goes back there, sees the kid. The kid isn't dead. He's, like, just unconscious, and Afton is cleaning the knife or cleaning something in the fucking sink, and Charlie grabs him and escapes Afton. Not before being stabbed twice in the back, where you actually see the stab wounds, which was kind of crazy. PG-13 movie, kid getting stabbed to death, which was neat. Forgot to mention, before Charlie goes back there to rescue the kid, she goes up to all of the parents around the restaurant and is like, hey, a kid is getting kidnapped. And of course they go, buzz off, get away from me, you fucking filthy child. Establishing Charlie's motivation for the film of wanting to murder adults. This is not good. I don't like this. It's very awkward in the movie. The scene of her running up to these adults and being like, please help me, and one lady's literally like, the adults are talking, which that was fine, I don't mind that. But this sort of like kind of cringe establishment of her motive, which is already weird, it felt very shoehorned, and it didn't really feel like Charlie. Like, when I think of the puppet, obviously the puppet is not afraid to murder. She kills the security guard in FNaF 2. That's a thing that can happen. But I don't really think of her as like vengeful. She's like vengeful, and it's her sort of protective role sort of takes a back seat. Obviously there's her protecting the kid, like that's sort of what starts everything. It's not ignored, but it takes a back seat to her wanting to fucking murder people. It's like kind of weird. I don't know, it felt like unnatural. I didn't feel it. I didn't feel the anger. And they say in the movie, she's like, oh, she died feeling only one thing, rage. I don't know, it didn't really work for me. It felt sort of artificial. So Charlie gets stabbed, and she's sitting right on the trapdoor, and the trapdoor opens, and she falls. And I was honestly, I thought she was gonna get fucking torn to shreds by like the gears and stuff down there. But no, we actually have this really nice moment where the puppet lifts her up out of the box, out of the hatch door, or the trapdoor rather. And it looks kind of fucking cool, and I actually really liked it. I thought that was a neat moment. And then we get the credits, the opening credits. They not redo, but they have an 8-bit opening, like the first film. Very similar to the first film, although some noticeable differences. Obviously the puppet is there, and they actually have newspapers. They have like newspaper clippings that they show, which was pretty fucking cool. I like that stuff a lot. Stuff about, foul play suspected, and, girl dies, Fazbear denies blame, offers quote-unquote condolences. Like, it's pretty good. I liked it a lot. Officials clear Fazbears, say child entered restricted area. Like that, it's very cool. This is neat. I always love when Fazbear is sort of like portrayed as this sleazy, disgusting company that will do anything to save face. Kids mourn Freddy's, especially the marionette. The marionette's role in the pizzeria was both enchanting and mysterious, and it was often regarded as one of the more complex and captivating characters, while other animatronics like Freddy, Bonnie, and Chica are known for their playful, it gets real blurry, playful, energetic performances. The marionette's presence was more something. So I do like the beginning of the movie, outside of the weird, please help me, get the hell away from me, you disgusting child, now I want to kill everybody. Permanently closed beloved pizzeria will not reopen after tragic events last month, which is interesting, which means that Freddy's closed in 82. So I guess maybe there were, I mean, when did, I don't remember if they say when the one from the first movie opens. Maybe it opened 85, maybe there's a 3-year difference, but they died in 87. I don't know. Interesting that it closed though. It closed because of Charlie's death. I mean, that opens a whole can of worms, doesn't it? The FNaF 2 location closing because of Charlie's death. Sounds a bit familiar. I don't know. No, I'm kidding. One thing I wanted to mention that I don't hear a lot of other people really talking about is Spring Bonnie. Spring Bonnie and Golden Freddy. Obviously, they're in the movies. Afton wears the Spring Bonnie suit. Golden Freddy exists. This insinuates that a Fredbear's Family Diner existed at some point. That's further a result of neither character being a part of any the posters or anything. Like, you never see art of or plushies or anything of Spring Bonnie or Golden Freddy. But I think it's really strange that they just never mention Fredbears, like, ever. Maybe they're saving that for the third movie. I don't really know why though, because these characters they're there. Springlocks exist. We'll talk about Springlocks a little later. So does Fredbear's even exist in this universe? Like, I don't know. It's kind of strange that they haven't even mentioned it, at least like a little bit. You'd think that Henry would have at some point, or maybe even Lisa at the beginning of the movie saying that this is the original. Yeah, but not really. Like, Fredbear's is the original. So I don't know. It's just a thought I've had. I find it interesting that they haven't even mentioned it. Not even in the news, like even the newspapers that they show of like Afton's beginnings. It doesn't mention Fredbear's at all. So Abby goes to school. I wonder do they show it in the trailer we were looking at? She is telling everybody about Fazbear and what happened, which is kind of cool. It was a funny moment. It made me laugh. Her friend is there, who people keep calling Gregory, which is funny. I don't think that's his name in the movie, but to be honest, I don't know what his name is. He was on screen for maybe 15 seconds. We get introduced to Newman. There's Newman. He's Abby's robotics teacher, and it made me laugh in the theater. I chuckled when it hit me that Scott again put a robotics class in a Five Nights at Freddy's thing. Like, he just loves doing it. Every other fucking FNaF book has like a middle school robotics class. So that made me laugh. He just loves this concept. I don't know what it is about it. Like, it's not, I don't know. It just keeps popping up. So yeah, Newman's her shitty science teacher that fucking hates her guts and wants her to fail because he thinks her project is terrible, which admittedly it's not great at the beginning. That whole character is, I don't know, kind of lame. I didn't really like him in the movie at all. He sort of just acts as fodder for Toy Chica. He's fine. Like, I don't know. It was more so just how they made him overly like unlikable, just so that when he gets killed, you're like, yeah, even though it's the villain of the film that's killing him. Like, I don't like when horror movies do that. That's a very like slasher coded thing. They'll have 5 characters and 2 that you're supposed to root for, and the other 3 are assholes, and you're like, yeah, I can't wait for them to get killed. But you should be afraid of them getting killed. It's supposed to be a horror movie. You should not want to see them get killed. And when they do, it's all the more horrifying. So it felt very over the top. It felt very kind of lame and stupid a little bit. I mean, he's not bad in it. He's just so over, like, he's cartoonishly evil. He drops her toy or drops her project and goes, oops, oh, I'm so sorry. It kind of took me out of the movie. So Mike goes on a date with Vanessa, and it's a pretty nice scene. It's honestly one of my favorite scenes in the movie. There's the strange joke about the waiter like brushing the breadcrumbs off the table, which I don't it was not funny, but whatever. And then Mike gets home after their date, and there's a note on the door, and it says, "Gone to fix my friends," which we see maybe in this trailer, maybe not in this trailer, I don't really remember. But Mike's like, oh my fucking god, Abby has gone back to Freddy's. And she does. They go back to Freddy's from the first movie. And this is where the movie really starts to lose me. I don't know what this scene is. It's very weird in the context of the end of the film. Abby goes there, the place is trashed just like the end of the original movie. Supposedly, you know, Afton is still there somewhere, like he's in that back room where Golden Freddy closed the door. And Abby is sitting there and she's pouting because her friends aren't there. And maybe I like missed something. Like, let me pull up the climax of the first movie. I don't understand why. What happened to the end? I watched the movie twice, like a week ago, so I don't know. Maybe I forgot something. No, they're fine. Like, I don't know what happened. The whole second movie, Abby is like, Mike, you said you'd fix my friends. Like, you know, what happened? Like, I want to go see my friends. And I was under the impression that Mike was just lying to her. Like, he's just lying, saying, oh, they're broken. Like, I need to go fix them at some point. I need to go repair them. Like, they're fucked up. Just to, like, keep her out of there because he doesn't want to deal with it. But then they go there, and the animatronics aren't there. Like, they're literally gone. And Abby's like, where are my friends? And Mike makes a joke like, oh, a piece over here, a piece over there. As if they were, like, destroyed. Like, as if Follow Me happened. Which is bizarre. Because as far as we know, nothing happened. So were they trying, like, I'm trying to understand the intent. Like, were they trying to make us think that the Withereds were those original animatronics? But they don't, like, allude to that in the movie. Like, when Mike sees the Withereds, he's like, it's, you know, he's scared. But he doesn't comment on it going, like, are those, like, is that you guys, you know? It's just a strange thing that happens. Like, the animatronics are just gone. And it's like, where did they go? And I'll talk about it later. But, spoilers, they show up at the end of the movie. The classic animatronics show up. And they're like out of nowhere. It's like, what the fuck? Like, what was any of that? It's bizarre. I don't know what it was trying to say. I don't know what the point was. The animatronic, Abby goes to the pizzeria. The animatronics are gone. Mike insinuates that they were destroyed. And at the end of the movie, they show up perfectly fine. Out of nowhere. At Mike's house. Like, I don't understand. I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened. Maybe I missed something. I may have. I don't know. It was just, it came out of, like, literally nowhere. It was extremely bizarre. They play the damn which was pretty funny. It made me laugh. The movie introduces the FazTalker and Henry. There's a poster outside that says Freddy's is murder. Want to know more? Call this number. Which isn't a bad way of introducing him. I don't find there's nothing really wrong about that. The FazTalker is also neat. One thing that I enjoyed was in the trailers they never did like the S-A-V. They just had it talking, whereas in the movie it does actually do that for a little bit. It spells out the letters, and I was like, oh, that's cute. We then get introduced to the ghost hunters proper. They show up a little earlier in the movie. They're on the TV, like Abby's watching their show, but we get introduced to them for real. And they meet up with none other than Michael Afton. He's great. I honestly, I don't have enough good things to say about Freddy Carter. He's really good in this movie. I genuinely enjoyed when he was on screen. And learning that his name was Michael, I was like, oh my fucking god. I mean, we already talked about this. So they set up a few kills as the ghost hunters are exploring the pizzeria. They set some things up. You have the puppets, the little marionettes in the cave. You've got Kids Cove, which is where Mangle, it's somewhere here. You know what the fuck I'm talking about right there. Kids Cove, where Mangle isn't actually. Mangle isn't in Kids Cove in the movie, which was interesting. And then, of course, do you hear that? The music box. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. So Charlie kind of possesses people in the movie. I feel very mixed about it. It's a cool concept. I don't hate it. I just don't think this was the right movie. They needed a way for Charlie to sort of move around outside of the puppet, because the puppet like moving and doing very human stuff would look kind of weird and like it would look like an SFM animation, which I don't think is the look they were going for. So they needed a way for Charlie to do stuff, but they also had like the animatronics. Like she possesses quote unquote two different things in the movie. She possesses people and she possesses the animatronic, almost as in like a reference to Lefty. Like the puppet is literally in Toy Chica. So I don't know why they needed this whole possession angle. Like, it's really strange. I could see if it was an excuse to add some sort of tame body horror for the movie, but they don't really do that. Like, there's a scene where the puppet Charlie is possessing Lisa. She's possessing her and holding Vanessa captive, and Vanessa's tied up, and she's sort of like holding her in the corner of the room, like telling her what to say on the phone in order to get the perimeter lock open. She's talking to Abby over the phone, and I thought they were gonna do, like, she's literally tied up. I thought they were gonna have Lisa's body, like her arms and legs, sort of like broken and wrapping around Vanessa's limbs, like this disgusting deformed, like her bones are all shattered and she's like wrapping her disgusting limbs around Vanessa, but they didn't do that. It was just rope. So I don't really understand why the puppet possesses people in this movie. I wish I wrote it down. There was something that reminded me of it, that was established in the game, something similar, but I can't really remember. I mean, there's obviously there's Ennard, which is similar, like Ennard being inside Michael, but it's sort of different. Like, it's not the same thing. It's not a literal possession of a person. It kind of reminded me of Jason Goes to Hell, which is not a good thing. I don't know. It's a very bizarre thing to add to the movie. I don't think anybody was expecting that leaked script, not leaked, but posted script page to be the correct one, because it's strange. My feelings boil down to, it's a cool concept. I don't hate it out of like outright, but this wasn't the movie for it. This is like the FNaF 2 movie should be much more grounded, similar to the first one. I think we're still in the realm where things are sort of grounded. Like Five Nights at Freddy's 2, the game, isn't that out there in terms of its concepts? Like, the craziest thing that FNaF 2 has is the idea that the animatronics have facial recognition in 1987 and that they're tied to a criminal database. Like, that's the craziest part. Whereas later in the series, you'd get into, literally like immortal people and underground bunkers and Remnant and all of that stuff, which just hadn't been really introduced yet, even though it's technically there. I think it should have been smaller scale. I don't think this movie should have been so grand. We'll talk about the ending later, but it really kind of rubbed me the wrong way. I think this is the wrong concept to introduce in this movie. I think that's something you do for a FNaF sister location movie or something along those lines. It's also just a weird power to give the puppet out of nowhere. Like, this is not something that's really been introduced before. It was weird. Maybe I'll warm up to it, but I don't know. I really enjoy I'm looking at him when the other ghost hunters hear Lisa scream and Michael is like grinning ear to ear, like he looks so happy. I love, that's so good. I love that. And the kid is freaking out. He's like, what the fuck? Like, why are you smiling? And he's got the creepiest look on his face. Like, it's actually great. He's really good. Like, I really like Freddy Carter. Oh my god, the look he gives him. And then the kid gets snatched by Mangle. And Michael just watches in amusement. A little bit of horror. Oh no, he's scared. Not amusement. He's fucking actually scared. He doesn't like it. I think he sort of realizes maybe this isn't the best idea. For that Mangle kill, one little nitpick. I wish the camera panned up and showed Mangle on the ceiling first before the kid gets grabbed. I think it would have been a cool little horror moment. Like this, a neat reveal. Like have it just look up and then Mangle sitting there fucking looking crazy. Would have been neat. I wish they did that. If anything, they just show what happens in the trailer, don't they? I mean, this is it. Like, this is all they show. That's all you get of Mangle in that scene, which I think is a shame. We also get the puppetlings, the little puppetlings that they show at the beginning. Right here, these things move and kill someone, which was not a good moment in the film, in my opinion. It was neat that it's reminiscent of Mini Renas or the Biddy Babs, you know, that sort of like lemming styled FNaF villain. But what are the mechanics of this person dying? Like, it's just they show a geyser of blood in the water. It was just a kind of strange moment. I don't think anyone was really scared. If anything, it's kind of comedic how they're all sitting there. This guy gets killed by dolls that don't even move. Weird. Just a weird moment. That felt very Scott Cawthon. Like, that's something that would happen in the books. We get introduced to this concept that the music box is like a thing. Like it's a real music box that was gifted to Charlie by Henry, and it soothes her. It keeps the puppet asleep, which I actually kind of like for this movie. I think it works for the movie. Obviously, in the game, the music box is sort of like mysterious. I mean, it's a literal thing like on the computer that Jeremy has to interact with, as insinuating that it's a Fazbear product, and Phone Guy talks about it. He says keep the music box around, so it's a bit of a departure from the game, but I think it works well. And it gives the puppet an excuse to be free all of a sudden, like, you know, Freddy Carter discovering that the puppet is has escaped and has possessed Lisa is a cool moment. He really sells it. He looks terrified. I really like him. It's cool, man. Lisa crawling like a little fucking spider monkey looks neat. It reminds me of like It or something, like Pennywise. I don't know. I don't think it was the right fit for this movie. I think we could have done something cooler. I think, you know, one thing I really want to bring up is that Five Nights at Freddy's 2, for as chaotic as it is, I think it really excels in the quieter moments. I think it has some of the creepiest visuals in the entire series. I mean, you have this long dark hallway in front of you where these things are just standing there, right? Like, that's scary. You have these dark party rooms, like Chuck E. Cheese party rooms, where these animatronics are just standing in the middle of the, like, they don't even need to be there. It's not like being in there is getting them closer to you. It's these figures, these ginormous figures that aren't supposed to moving, and they're just standing there. It's almost like the Blair Witch Project. Like, I specifically always think of Withered Chica in Party Room 4 or whatever it is, where she's like sitting there, her arms outstretched, not even really looking at the camera. It's like maybe the creepiest image in the series. Like, I don't want to be mean, but I feel like Scott has kind of forgotten that that's what made it so creepy. It's a big issue I have with, well, I guess we'll get into this now. It's a big issue I have with the animatronics in the films. I can't get over the glowing eyes. I really can't. Like, it takes away from the creepiness. It makes them feel more personified and human. And this topic is discussed to death, but like, it's true. They look less scary. I can't stand the angry eyebrows. I can't stand the angry eyelids. And the fact that their eyes glow. I mean, there's a definite creepiness, and there's merit to having that dead-eyed dull look. Like, it's half the scare. I think it's just really strange that they chose to have this aesthetic for the movies. I don't like it. I don't think it really works. The best parts of the movie, in terms of the animatronics look the best, is when their eyes are turned off and they're just standing there like creeps, you know? Like, here, that looks perfect. If that thing started moving, like, that's terrifying. But if its eyes start glowing and then it starts moving, it's like, what the fuck? Like, that's not scary. That thing's alive. It looks like, I think the difference is that when the eyes are glowing, it looks like it's supposed to move. Like that's a sign of life. Whereas if you turned your back and it was gone, that's so much scarier. Obviously, the glowing eyes isn't an aesthetic unique to the movies. There's Baby and Sister Location. There's the Mimic. There's, it's popped up here and there. There's Springtrap. Although Springtrap's kind of different. I think it works sometimes. I think it really doesn't work a lot of the time. Let me see if I can find some better examples in trailer 2. Like Withered Bonnie's the best looking one because he doesn't have eyes to glow. And they still give him blue one. Like, it's so weird. I don't know. So I will say Toy Freddy with the glowing red eyes doesn't look that bad. That looks kind of fucking scary. I'll give them that one. Although I don't remember if he actually looks like that in the movie. He does. They all have glowing red eyes. This works, but not all the time. It works for when they're like about to die. But like this,
Town will be dead by morning.
I don't like you compare this, he looks so personable. Like it looks like a cute little character. Whereas Toy Bonnie in fucking FNaF 2, he's like, his eyes are wide and he looks creepy and he's not moving, and it makes a big difference, I think. This is okay, Toy Chica with her like flashlights, like she's Master Chief, but then she looks like angry. And this is a thing Scott's been doing for a while. This isn't new to the movies. Like it used to piss me off when FNaF started getting merch in like 2015, and there was that new render of Freddy Fazbear where he had like super angry eyebrows. I was like, what the fuck are we doing? Like, this looks like shit. Scott Cawthon, stop it. But here we are. Obviously it's a look that they like over at Blumhouse, but like come on, man. That looks so good. Like, I love this shot. And his eyes aren't glowing. Like, his eyes aren't fucking glowing. This is one of the scariest shots in the movie. And it's so effective. He kind of looks like SpongeBob a little bit. But, like, that's Balloon Boy. Like, that looks like Balloon Boy. And I think it's effective because of those eyes. That's all I'm saying. Like, I don't know. It's too late. Michael is fucking terrified. He leaves the building, but he stops immediately, feeling safe, which is cool. I like that. They sort of establish the perimeter. That then brings us to maybe the best scene in the movie, which is the Vanessa dream sequence. Now, before that, we get her sort of preparing. It's almost like a ritual. She pulls out a box that has it's hard to tell. See, everyone was saying before the movie came out that the box was full of memorabilia that was stolen from the kids that Afton killed because Garrett's plane is there. After seeing the movie, I don't think that's the case anymore, because it's never talked about and it's in her house and she was given the plane. I think it's just her stuff. Like, I think it's just her things from when she was a kid. Now, maybe they literally are stuff that Afton stole from the kids and gave to Vanessa, similar to Garrett. Like, they could literally be the MCI kids' things. But it's never mentioned. She doesn't talk about the items. You get as much about those items in the movie as you do in the trailer. Like, this scene is almost one for one. This is it. You just see Garrett's plane. So I wonder if maybe there was something that was cut that explained it a bit more. It's the bag of marbles, it's a book, it's a mirror, and then Garrett's plane. And it's odd that it's only 4 items, considering, there's the MCI kids, and then plus Garrett, making it 6. Plus Charlie, making it 7. I don't know necessarily if these actually are supposed to be the MCI kids' things, like everyone was saying. I don't think that's the case. I think it's just Vanessa's stuff, and maybe incidentally, it's also the MCI kids' things. Because she specifically looks at the plane before she does it, thinking of Mike, reinforcing that Mike told her to, go into her dreams and everything. Like, it's nice. So we then start the dream sequence. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. I think it might be the best scene in the movie. It's scary. It's moody. It's evocative of many different moments in the Five Nights at Freddy's series, and it's pretty well shot and paced. It's like kind of slower. They show a photo of Mr. and Mrs. Afton and 2 kids hinting at the reveal later in the movie that Michael Afton is Michael Afton. Vanessa does the whole, I'm not afraid of you anymore. I'm not afraid. And Afton says, well, are you sure? And charges at her. There's some great shots of him down the hall. I don't know if they're in this trailer or not. Oh yeah, they're over here. This stuff, you get this nice dolly zoom. It's neat. It's really neat. Afton is good. I like Lilliard in this scene. It's really his only scene, but it's good. This scene sets up some pretty important stuff. Afton talks about how Vanessa's his favorite, and that he loves her, and that he cares about her, which obviously he's lying. I don't think Vanessa is his favorite. I think he's just trying to manipulate her, to gaslight her into doing whatever. Obviously it's dream Afton. This isn't necessarily a thing that actually happened, but she's most likely dreaming about traumatic events that happened when she was younger. It's nice seeing more of that sort of abusive Afton. It's reminiscent of some mini-game, maybe one specific mini-game in the Five Nights at Freddy series. A little more on that in a second. So, okay, here's the big thing. Afton says, "You are my child. You have a purpose," which is pretty freaking awesome. That is a great line. It fits with the game Afton, obviously, with Vanessa almost taking the role of Michael Afton in the last movie. Michael being sort of puppeted by his father, doing his bidding until he learns otherwise. Vanessa was obviously abused, as are all the Afton children, I would assume. It makes you wonder, well, what are the other kids' purposes? What is Michael's purpose? What does he exactly mean in the context of whenever this happened, when Vanessa was a little kid? Because obviously there's the whole thing in the first movie about, well, you were supposed to keep him away. Like Vanessa was specifically keeping track of Mike for William. But what does that mean in the context of her being a kid? What's her purpose? And we get that answer. Kind of, not really. Vanessa goes to William's workshop, and they specifically show that it is raining outside, that it is storming outside. And in the theater, I'm going, holy fucking shit. They're about to show Midnight Motorist, or allude to Midnight Motorist in some way, which they the whole situation kind of does. It's an abusive father. It's raining. It's very Midnight Motorist reminiscent, but they throw a bit of a fucking curveball. Vanessa hides in the workshop, and Afton comes in, looks around for her, is like, oh, where the hell are you, you fucking child? All of a sudden, he's dressed in his spectacles and his overalls, insinuating that this is, we've sort of shifted from dream Afton, where he's older. It's more akin to him in the first movie. Now we've sort of shifted to a memory, an actual more grounded memory of Afton, in his work clothes with his glasses. And Vanessa looks to her right and looks up and is in horror at the visage of fucking Circus Baby. And I was like, what the fuck? It goes without saying, but Circus Baby looks fucking literally perfect. Literally perfect. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if it's not even a real costume and they just used a polished version of Scott's model. The shot of her looking at Vanessa is terrifying. It is fucking scary as shit. Looks really good, extremely effective. Points towards this scene being the best in the movie. Even though it's a Glub Shitto cameo, it does have some merit, and let's get into that. What does Circus Baby being introduced actually mean? Because it sure does imply a hell of a lot. Here's my take. I think Elizabeth exists, and I think that Vanessa seeing Circus Baby is a reminder of what happens to an Afton child after they step out of line. Circus Baby is sort of this representation of Afton building something horrific and the karma that follows. You know, Afton builds Circus Baby specifically to capture kids in the games, and tells Elizabeth, like, no, you can't go see that, it's designed to capture kids, it's gonna murder them. You can't go see that. And she disobeys her father and gets killed. It's a story of not karmic justice, but karma. Afton in a morbid way getting what's coming to him. And I think that Circus Baby plays the exact same role in the films. I think that Vanessa has... One, it's fucking terrifying that Vanessa has even seen Circus Baby enough to remember it. I don't know if necessarily she saw her in this memory, like when this happened. I don't know if Circus Baby was literally in Afton's workshop. It's possible. Or if she's just there, you know, it's like dream logic. She's just there because she's feeling the same feelings. But the idea that Elizabeth actually existed and she's inside that thing, and Vanessa, that it's like a reminder to never disobey her father, I think is really good. I think that's a great... See, it's sort of the thing, right? Like, this movie, I think a lot of people would agree, it's written pretty fucking bad. Like, it's not written well. Scott excels when his ideas are vague. That's what 99% of the FNaF game story is. It's very vague, and it allows you to sort of fill in the gaps, and it paints this beautiful picture. Whereas I'm afraid that if Scott painted the picture himself in detail, like, you know, with the novel trilogy, things wouldn't be as good. So I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt and saying that, you know, hopefully this isn't just a glup shitto cameo and is actually meaningful to the story. Obviously, you know, people are going to say, why hasn't Elizabeth been mentioned? Michael Afton wasn't mentioned, and Michael Afton is in the film. So anything can happen. I'm not writing anything off at this point. Pretty fucking insane that Circus Baby is in the movie. That is absolutely not only wonderful, a great surprise, but surprisingly deep at the same time. Vanessa then sort of shifts into her cop form from the first movie, and we get this great shot of her shooting William, and William sort of falling off the railing. They're on the second story, so he's falling off the railing like Geese Howard almost. It looks great. I think it's a great moment. And then she wakes up, and I think that scene is genuinely great. I think that's the best written scene, best shot scene. It's maybe the scariest scene. Like, it's just really fucking good. Abby meets the toys. It's kind of cute. We get to hear Megan Fox's Toy Chica, and she's pretty good, actually. We then get a pretty good scene where Mike meets up with Henry. Before this, it's sort of... I don't know how I feel. Mike introduces Henry's, and, you know, he's the guy he talked on the phone with. And he brings it up to Vanessa, and he's like, why the fuck didn't you tell me? He doesn't say that. He says, why didn't you tell me that there was another death, there was another murder? And she's, oh, my dad was a very, very bad man. This scene, my father was a monster. I saw someone complaining that they should have set up Henry, like we should have seen the phone call, but I don't necessarily agree. I think the scene where they actually meet is pretty good. I like Skeet Ulrich as Henry. I think he does a good job. I think it's pretty consistent with games Henry, like in terms of personality and how he feels. Not my daughter, you know, that whole thing. He's aware of his shortcomings. He's very aware that he was a shitty father, and I like that about Henry. You know, Games Henry is another one of those characters that's very inferred. His inferred character is really cool, but what's there, you know, it's up for debate. But I like that his the movie version is more aligned with that inferred version of Henry Emily from the games. You know, he's broken. He regrets being an awful father, and he neglected Charlie, and he knows it, and he feels fucking terrible. And I think that's so cool. That's exactly what I think Henry should be in the movie and in the games. And I also like his role in this story. I mean, you can imagine your child dying at a place and then seeing posters around town for a festival celebrating the place that your child died at, you know, and being pretty upset about that. I like that. That's sort of new for him. Although I guess you could say, like, something similar happened in the games, maybe with Fazbear's Fright, but that's all like speculation. There's nothing really to suggest that. And then he gives Mike a music box and he's like, hey, this used to calm her when she was a kid. Can you give this to her for me? Not necessarily knowing that it's going to calm the puppet or that's what keeps the puppet calm, but it's a nice moment. And I like Josh Hutcherson in the scene. He realizes that Abby is at the other Freddy's. He learns about this other Freddy's. Mike sees the picture and he's like, where the fuck, like, what is this carousel? Like, this isn't in Freddy's. Where is this? And he's like, what do you mean? That's the first location. Like, that's where Charlie died. And he freaks out, and he's pretty great in it. But this whole idea of the music box being this gift from her dad that soothes her, I liked. I think that it works for the film. I don't like later in the film when Mike just turns it off. It felt a bit like he opens it and uses it to exorcise Charlie from Abby's body, and then he turns it off once she's out. And it felt a bit like Laurie Strode dropping the knife after stabbing Michael Myers. It's like, just pick the fucking knife back up. Like, what are we doing? Just keep the music box on. There's a few sort of annoying horror cliches like that. So one thing that I'm having trouble with, to be honest, is Garrett. I made a Reddit post before the movie came out about how Garrett may not exist, and I wouldn't be surprised if Garrett actually didn't exist. And this was sort of falling under the theory that Mike Schmidt was actually in Afton and all that stuff. Maybe Afton, via the Nightmare Chambers or the Sister Location Bunker or something, implanted these false memories of a family in Mike's head. Of Garrett. Obviously that's not the case, but Garrett is still really fucking weird. Who is Garrett? What does Garrett matter to the story? At the end of the first movie, it's implied that Garrett was the puppet. They play the grandfather clock music at the very end. It's like the post credits, and then it starts spelling out "Come find me" in that FNaF 2 speak and spell way. And I think most people thought, oh, it's Garrett. Garrett's going to be the puppet because Garrett isn't Golden Freddy. Garrett isn't one of the MCI kids. Garrett is the seemingly random kidnapping. And that's what's still so strange, because we know now that Garrett isn't the puppet. It's Charlie. Charlie exists in this universe. Charlie's the puppet. So who's Garrett? Well, you could say, well, maybe Garrett didn't possess an animatronic. Maybe Garrett isn't important to the story in that way. It's just more of a reason for Mike to go after Afton, which is fair. My issue is, why did Afton kidnap Garrett? Garrett was kidnapped in Nebraska, a very, very long ways away from where the movie takes place. I think the movie takes place in, I don't remember, to be honest. It's far though. It's like a 10-hour drive from what I remember. In the first movie, we see Mike and his parents and Garrett on a picnic, and then Garrett gets kidnapped by Afton and kills him because he says, "First I killed your brother, now I kill you." There's that whole thing. What is Afton doing there? Like, what the whole scene is so bizarre, and that's what sparked that idea for Garrett not even existing, because it's such a strange scene. Now, I don't recommend following that theory, because I stated at the very beginning of the post that they literally show a picture of Garrett, like Garrett exists, but it was more just this thought experiment about how the scene doesn't make any sense. Like, why is Afton kidnapping Garrett? And it's this thing I couldn't get out of my mind. It has nothing to do with the rest of the series, like literally nothing. And I thought we were going to get that answer in this movie, and we didn't at all. They barely even mention Garrett. He mentions him to Vanessa, and he mentions him to Henry. When Henry asks, I'm assuming you lost someone? He says something along those lines. And he's like, yeah, my little brother Garrett. What the fuck? Like, it's so weird. Is that something we're ever going to understand? Like, I don't know. I don't have an answer. Why did Afton drive to fucking Nebraska with nobody else? Like, his family isn't there, I'm assuming. And it's clear here, this is the other thing, it's clear that it was premeditated, because Afton recognizes Mike's name in the first movie. He's like, Michael and then, pauses because he's recognizing it's Mike Schmidt, which means that Afton either knew the Schmidts, maybe they were neighbors, but then why would he go out of his way to follow them? Like, it's so bizarre. It doesn't follow anything Afton has done in the series as far as I know. And it's this lingering question that I don't know if we're ever going to get answered. It's completely bizarre. I'm assuming we're going to get an answer in the third movie because, we'll get more screen time with Mike and Afton together. If they're doing a third, FNaF 3 movie, Afton's going to be talking. Springtrap talks. Like, it's FNaF 3 is the only game where he doesn't talk, and even still he's moaning and shit. So Springtrap's going to talk. They're going to have a conversation. Maybe we'll learn what happened to Garrett. Afton will open up. Afton's very theatrical and maybe he likes to brag. It's just such a weird detail. Like, why did they have to make it so far away? Now we get to talk about the Withereds. Many will jump to conclusions and say, welp, case closed. The Withereds are prototypes. They're not the MCI. They're these separate animatronics. And they might be right. The issue with the Withereds, if you're unaware, is, FNaF 2 released. People didn't know it was a prequel. It was odd that the classics looked different, but no one was really thinking about it. It was only the second game. We didn't really have the precedent of designs, like, relatively staying consistent between games, although sometimes they don't. Obviously, there's, like, Scrap Baby and Scrap Trap and stuff. So people didn't really... I don't think the Withereds were really ever controversial up until Help Wanted. I think Help Wanted was where it really started, like, because up until Help Wanted, the common consensus was there was Freddy Fazbear's Pizza in 1985, and that's where the MCI happened. That place closed, and those animatronics, which became the Withereds, were stored in the back room of the new Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, which is where FNaF 2 takes place. That place closes down. They take those withered animatronics, repair them, retrofit them, change them around, make them a bit more simplistic, and that's what becomes the classics in FNaF 1. So there's a clear line, MCI gets stuffed into the Withereds go to FNaF 2, the Withereds get fixed, then they go to FNaF 1, and it's the same 5 kids. The issue is that in Help Wanted, you find a coin, and it says established 1983, implying Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, and on that coin is FNaF 1 Freddy Fazbear, which is weird because you'd think it would be Withered Freddy or Unwithered Freddy. And so that was strange. And then, certain things kept happening, like seemingly no appearance of the Withereds outside of FNaF 2, which was strange. And then we get things like Into the Pit game and official merchandise and official art and official books, all showing that the classic animatronics were the animatronics at the 85 location. And then to top it all off, you get Secret of the Mimic, showing that not only were the classic animatronics at the 85 location, but they predate that. I guess I should say 83 location. They predate that, going all the way back to 1979, officially being the original versions of Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, Foxy. And that starts this whole debate about how maybe the Withereds aren't even real. Like, there's sort of two options. Like, either they're haunted and they're just literal meta redesigns of the characters, as in, to us, the Withereds look like the Withereds, but in universe, they're just the classic animatronics. Or the Withereds aren't haunted and they're just some random costumes that were maybe retrofitted with old technology or something along those lines. As in, there was never really any real Unwithereds. They were never actually used at a restaurant, but they only really exist in the back room of FNaF 2, which I never liked. I don't like either of those theories. My preferred theory was they were somehow like a modified version of retrofit theory. Retrofit theory is that the classics, then the Withereds, and then the classics are all the same. Like, they were retrofit with these new bodies, but it also doesn't really make sense because they have completely different endoskeletons and like it's all so complicated. And I'm sort of butchering that theory, but I never liked the idea that they were meta redesigns, and I never liked the idea that they weren't haunted, because I think they're definitely like the coolest looking versions of the characters. And that's why I was so excited for this movie, because we were going to get some clarification on what the Withers even fucking are, man. And we do. We technically do. In the movie, they are prototypes that were never used, and they were later used for spare parts. Not a satisfying conclusion, in my opinion. It's sort of weird. Why are they so damaged? Why do they look so old? Why do they... all this stuff. I forgot to mention that Phone Guy in FNAF 2 says they smell, insinuating that they were haunted. He says they were just so ugly, and the smell, which is what he says in the first movie. Blood and mucus pouring out the suit, like all that stuff. It was very reminiscent of FNAF 1, insinuating that they were the same animatronics. So now that they aren't, can you apply that to the games? Yeah, maybe. Yeah, like there's no reason you can't. We still don't have a clear answer on what the Withers are, so there's no harm in saying that they were just prototypes and that they're not actually haunted in FNAF 2. But there's also evidence to suggest against that, and that also brings us to another big debate, which is the DCI. The DCI does not exist in the films. Thank fucking God. I hope it doesn't exist in the games. Now that brings up a lot of issues. I don't like the DCI. I'm not a DCI fan. I think it's stupid, and I think it's more than a coincidence that Scott literally doesn't bring them up again. We have 3 whole games. This is going to go into a whole rant. I'm sorry. We have 3 whole games dedicated to the MCI moving on. We have the end of FNAF 3, we have FNAF World, and we have FNAF 6. Arguably Ultimate Custom Night, but not really. What do we get for the DCI? Fucking nothing. They're not even they don't even have names. Like, it's so bizarre. Now, the biggest counterpoint to the DCI not existing, and why most people definitely believe it exists, isn't even Save Them. I don't even think Save Them counts. Save Them is its whole other thing. It's that Phone Guy is like, we're under investigation. Something happened. Someone used one of the suits. We're under investigation. What is that other than another 5 kids going missing? And that's a good question. I don't really have an answer for that question. You could go the Charlie 87 route, but I don't think that's right. So the DCI kind of has to exist, but like, I don't know. I don't like it. I don't like it. It's definitely the most obvious answer. Like Occam's razor, the DCI happened. Phone Guy says something happened. You see 5 dead bodies in Save Them. But it's just so unsatisfying. Like, it's so weird because, or so I thought, Happiest Day is pretty important. We'll talk about that in a little bit. No DCI in the movie, thank God. Would have been too much, too crowded, just like it is in the games. I mean, it's the same issue. That's why I want to talk to fucking Scott Cawthon so bad, because he specifically chose not to have the DCI in the movie because it would feel bloated, right? It would feel bloated, and there's too much. Like 5 more dead kids. Like, really? Do we really need that? I feel the exact same way about the games. Did you intend them to be 5 more kids, Scott? Are there 5 more missing children in the game, Scott? You know what you're doing. You wrote the damn movie. All I'm saying. I just want to talk to him. I wish I was at whatever theater in Texas he went to, just so I could ask him one question, and he'd say, "Oh, I don't know. I gotta go. Sorry." The DCI pisses me off so much. I hate it. 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 I love FNAF 2 though. I have an issue with another scene. It's when Vanessa is explaining to Mike what happened to Charlotte, and she's like, "Oh, she's trapped forever, feeling the last thing she felt, which was rage," and they visually show this through child Vanessa going to the box at the FNAF 2 location and seeing a physical ghost of Charlie with the black streak marks, like the crying streak marks. I don't like this. It's very similar to in the first movie when you see the Foxy kid with the crying, the agony tears. I'm not a fan. I think I get what they're doing. It's similar to Happiest Day or the FNAF 2 mini games. It's like a real life interpretation of those sprites. I don't think it works. I think the beauty of those mini games is that they're very abstract and simple, and I think they should have tried to adapt them in that way. Like, if they're going to show that stuff, obviously the more visceral scenes you should just film, like Charlie dying, or if they were to do something like Save Them or Follow Me, like those are very clear narrative moments. Maybe not Save Them, but the other ones, yeah, you could see them being played out, and it's just more of a limitation of Scott at the time, you know, only being able to do those through 8-bit graphics. But I think if you're going to show something as abstract as Happiest Day, because what the fuck even is Happiest Day? The kid gets birthday cake. Like, are they at a Freddy's? Like, they're all ghosts. It's weird. It's a very, like, dream-like mini game, you know? I wish they found a better way to interpret that. Because it just felt kind of cringe seeing little kid Charlie in makeup just sitting there, like, crying. I think for moments like that, we can't just show kids in makeup. It needs to feel a bit more special. It needs to be shown in a different way. Off the top of my head, I don't know what you could do necessarily, but I'm sure I could think of something. Just a bit of a nitpick. Maybe not a nitpick. It's a little bigger than a nitpick because it's a thing that happens in the movie. So, like, they introduced this whole idea that the puppet is controlling the other animatronics through a wireless connection, which is fine. I think some people may find that a little hard to believe, but I think with Five Nights at Freddy's animatronics, you have to suspend your disbelief somewhat anyways. Like, if you know anything about real animatronics, they work through, at least Chuck E. Cheese animatronics are all hydraulics. So they are, you know, they need to be bolted to the stage because they have 15,000 fucking tubes running in them, you know, compressing air throughout the entire thing. So the idea that animatronics are allowed to walk around at all is already very out there. So it's not, you know, it's not crazy that they'd have a wireless connection in 1982. Like, it doesn't really make that much of a difference. It is funny though when Mike looks at the little Google Maps of all the different animatronics. I like that. Mike's on the computer, and I'm holding out hope. I'm holding out hope for the third movie, but I thought this would have been a great time to include a little phone guy cameo. Maybe he finds an old MP3 or whatever file they would have had, whatever file type they would have had on this old ass computer in 1982. Not MP3. MP3s didn't exist back then, but some audio recording of phone guy for training purposes, going, oh, hello, you know, put the mask on, because then Mike just sees the mask and is like, I guess I'll put the mask on when they're here. It makes really no sense. It's just a reference, you know, to get him to play FNaF 2. He plays FNaF 2 for a little bit. It's very fun, but I wish there was sort of some setup. Like, because even in FNaF 2, it's weird. It's like, the animatronics aren't gonna recognize me if I wear the mask. Like, really? Are you sure? Except Foxy for some reason. If you had never seen the game, you'd have no fucking clue what was happening, which isn't a bad thing, but I just wish in universe there was some setup, because how does Mike even know that? Like, why did Mike think to even do that? It's not like, oh, out of desperation. Like, he could have just walked out, you know? I don't know. Maybe not. He looks at the mask and is like, oh, that'll never work. As if he had been told. Like, it feels like, oh, someone just told him, you have to wear the mask, when no one does. So it just feels kind of out of place. We get to hear Toy Bonnie talk. It's Matt Pat, which is cool. I saw some people on Twitter saying that they couldn't tell it was Matt Pat, but I felt the exact opposite. If anything, it kind of took me out of the movie a little bit, because it sounded exactly like Matt Pat, in my opinion. Like, he's done that voice before. I've heard him do the high-pitched Toy Bonnie voice before. I think it fit. I think it was good. It's just like I was surprised to see that people didn't, not that they didn't recognize him, but didn't think he sounded like him. Like, that was Matt Pat to a T. Like, that was definitely Matt Pat. Doug has a cameo. It feels really weird. It's like a weird scene. He's like, oh, you guys need a good lawyer. I don't know why he's in the... It was very bizarre. It's a strange scene for sure. I don't really have anything more to add about that, but it just... I remember being like, oh, it's Doug. Okay. So we're coming to the end of the movie. Oh... They shut off the wireless connection, but then it turns back on because the puppet is possessing them anyways. Or maybe it's insinuated that Michael did something, I guess. I don't really know. This whole end of the movie is so confusing and bad. Like, I hate it's bad. It's really bad. The movie kind of takes a nosedive at the end, and just stops making sense completely. Like, I don't even really know where to begin. It's revealed that the puppet was inside of Toy Chica, which is a reference to Lefty, which I think I already mentioned. And then we get the puppet possessing Abby, which is a cool moment. She looks pretty cool. I'm still on the fence about the whole puppet possession thing in general, but for the moment, it's neat. They call back to a moment earlier in the film where she jump scares her. It's a cheap fucking jump scare. I forgot to mention, there's a lot of like annoying Blumhouse cheap jump scares in the movie. A few scenes, I hate to say this, but a few scenes reminded me of the Blumhouse Halloween movies. And boy, that did not feel good. I did not like to be reminded of those films. That was a shame. I was not happy about that. But Abby, possessed by the puppet, looks pretty cool. It's kind of a cool moment. It still feels very out of place for this movie or this moment in the series in general. But for what it is, it's fine. Like, I don't know. And then the toys, Mike, Vanessa, and Abby are there. They expel the puppet from Abby with the music box. And then the toys are there, and the toys are going to kill her because the connection is back online, or something happens. I actually don't remember. What? Hold on. It says signal rerouted. So I guess that's Michael? I guess? I don't fucking know. It's really weird. So the toys are closing in, and then Michael shows up, and he's like, ha ha ha. My plan is here. We're going to kill half of the people in this town. I'm going to carry on my father's legacy, which is fine. I don't have a problem with that characterization of Michael Afton necessarily. I think in the early games, he's definitely still like under his father's thumb. It really isn't until such a location where he sort of breaks out of that. I'm going to come find you and all that. So him wanting to kill people, I think, is just a trauma response. I think he has room to grow. I think we can still have that Michael Afton redemption arc. I don't think this is crazy enough to like condemn him forever. So the toys are closing in. Michael gives his speech and all that. And then we get some friendly faces. The classics come back, and it's like this heroic Avengers moment. It's really bizarre and really fucking terrible. Like, I hate to say it, but it made me cringe so hard in the theater. They like tear the toys apart. It's very reminiscent of, I've said reminiscent 1,000 times, but it's very reminiscent of the Twisted Ones, the ending of the Twisted Ones, which isn't necessarily a good thing. Not all references are good references. It's not at all how I would have ended the movie. It's very strange, and I don't think it landed exactly. It's kind of cringe. Interestingly, when the puppet bursts out of Toy Chica, it like breaks her shell, and so her chest is sort of open. You can see that the endoskeleton inside is it's a spring lock endo. Like, Toy Chica's a spring lock, which is fucking weird. Like, what is that? Why is she does that mean are all of them spring locks? Are the Withered spring locks? I'd assume the Withereds are spring locks in this universe. Because in the first movie, Vanessa's like, when she introduces the idea of spring locks, which they don't even really do. It's another gripe I have, is that the spring locks are never actually explained to be like an animatronic that turns into a costume. They just say, oh, those are spring locks, watch out. But when she introduces them, she's like, oh, they're on all the older models. So I guess that's consistent, but why? Like, why? Why? It's such a strange detail. I don't know what that means. It's very weird, because obviously they aren't in the game. In the game, Endo 02 is not a spring lock and endoskeleton. It was just a very strange detail. I thought that was so weird. I don't even know what to make of it, really. What that could even mean. I don't know. Very odd. We get to the very end of the movie. There's two like final moments that happen that I really don't like at all. Like, genuinely, I think the end of the movie is by far the worst part. We'll start with the big one. Golden Freddy Kid appears after they've destroyed the toys, and then all of the classics sort of like fall down and are malfunctioning, and it's clear like, oh, they're losing power or whatever. Vanessa is like, they weren't made to leave Freddy's. And Abby goes, they're dying? They can't die. And Golden Freddy Kid comes in and goes, we're moving on. This is Happiest Day. They're doing Happiest Day. Like, it just happens at the end of the movie. It's the most bizarre choice on a number of levels. Like, Happiest Day, let me preface this by saying, unless Golden Freddy Kid is just fucking lying, which I don't believe he is, they just do Happiest Day with no build-up, no, like, anything. It's like the most important moment in the series, like, in the games. Like I said earlier, there are 3 separate games not dedicated, FNaF 6 isn't dedicated to Happiest Day, but it's sort of like the ending. Fuck it, there's 3 different games dedicated to Happiest Day. Like, in Scott, like, you'd think that, like, I don't even know how to phrase this. It seems so important to Scott that these kids moving on is like a huge moment. And he just kind of slapped it on at the end. Like, I think maybe when he was writing it, it felt like a much bigger moment, but it just comes out of nowhere. And it's so strange because you'd think that's something they would save for the fucking 3rd movie. Not only because Happiest Day happened in FNaF 3, but because it's the end of the trilogy, quote unquote. It's the kids moving on. It's the MCI moving on. And it just fucking happens out of nowhere. And it's cringe too. Like, you don't even really see it. The animatronics just like fall over. I just think it's such a mistake, man. I was so... It just hurt. It hurt to watch in the theater, man. I was like, no, don't do this now. No. This is such a bad way to do this. It's such an important moment. It should be given like gravitas. Like, I've always pictured something akin to the actual minigame happening. Like, silent, very moody, that creepy, compressed 8-bit music box playing. Like, it's an eerie cutscene. And it's played as this just like final quick, thing that happens. I think that was a mistake. I really think it was. I can't get over it. What a shame. I was really hoping for something much bigger. Maybe I'm looking at it the wrong way. I'm not going to rule that out. But that was Happiest Day. Like, that was Happiest Day. And it's just kind of tacked on. What a shame. And it's not even really how the movie ends. The movie ends with Michael escaping and the puppet possessing Vanessa. And that's literally the last shot of the movie. Is the puppet possessing Vanessa and Vanessa's eyes going white and her like the tears starting to form. And I was like, no, man. I'm afraid that Scott's gonna write himself into a hole. If I don't know. I think the puppet should have I don't know what you do with the puppet, to be honest. I don't think Scott knew what to do with the puppet either in the games up until the very end. But this is something he's gonna have to follow up on now in the 3rd film, and it feels messy. It's a messy ending. And I forgot to mention, I kind of alluded to it by saying things just happen, but the ending is so quick. Like, everything's over in 10 minutes. And it's like, whoa. Like, you're getting whiplash about through all the stuff that's happening. And it ends with Vanessa being possessed, and it's for a thing that I'm assuming Scott knew people would be on the fence about, with this whole puppet possession thing. It's a very bizarre concept that it has, there's similar things in the series, but not in the main games, really. I'm surprised that he ended with that concept being the tease of the next movie. Holy fuck, you better get excited, Vanessa's possessed by the puppet. I don't like it. I'm not a fan of that ending. Not because it's bad or anything. I don't think it's great. It may be bad, but just because I don't really want more of that. And now it's something that's like that has to be followed up, or else, you know, shit's weird. So that's the end of the movie. There's 2 post-credit scenes. I mean, there's a post-credit scene, and then there's similar to the first movie, audio at the very end that teases the next movie. The post-credit scene is pretty cool. It's the Fazbear's Fright guys, including Phone Dude, finding Springtrap. They even do the "we found one, a real one," which was pretty cool. One little gripe, one little suggestion. They put a plastic bag over Springtrap, you know, and then Springtrap's eyes glow, not insinuating, showing you that he's still alive. I would have done it a different way. Instead of having his eyes glow, maybe you put the bag over his head, the plastic bag, and then it goes to like a profile, like a shot of his profile. You see the side of the mask and everything, and instead of his eyes glowing, have the bag sort of move, start shifting in and away from his mouth, showing that he's literally breathing, or maybe having it fog up or something. Like, I think that would have been way creepier and kind of cooler. But it's fine. That's just that's a nitpick. That's an actual nitpick. And then at the very end, we get Henry being like, "My daughter, if you can still hear me," and all that. I actually need to find it because I don't remember what he said. So he says, he starts it by saying, "Leaving dead space," which is cute. This message is intended as a warning. Mike, I wish we had more time after our conversation, but I'm sending you this message. I apologize, I can't deliver them in person. There are things you need to be aware of. He says something along the lines of, it reveals that he was Afton's partner, which isn't a reveal for anybody who knows the games, obviously, or the books. But for the movie, it's a reveal. He says, all of the equipment I have left over from that time is outdated. I can still track some of the animatronics. Get out of there as fast as you can. She's coming for me. And then he gets cut off. I don't know. It's sort of a weird ending. It doesn't really like mean anything as far as I can tell. I don't really know what its purpose is. Like, obviously Henry's a little out of the loop about like what happened at the end of the movie, but what has even happened? Like, what even is it? He's leaving dead space. Is he calling Mike? Like, is this his voicemail? Is he like sending Mike a voicemail? I don't really know. It's a cute FNaF 6 reference, obviously, but it almost plays like Henry catching up to what happened. I guess that's its purpose. It's just there to show that he may, he'll be in the next one, and he was business partners with Afton, right? So that's the movie. Boy, is it a mixed bag. I don't think it's 15% Rotten Tomatoes or anything like that. But I'm also really biased because I love the series. It's got good, like, it really is fine for most of it. It's just that the plot is extremely messy. It takes a nosedive at the end and it's just becoming cringe. Like, it just becomes cringe. I will say the acting isn't particularly amazing for most of the movie. Now, whether it's the acting or the writing of the dialogue is up for debate. I don't know. Scott isn't the best at writing dialogue, in my opinion. I think he's great at writing monologues. I think monologues are his strong suit. But when it comes to dialogue, it can feel kind of stilted at times. But I mean, I said it before. I really like Freddie Carter. I think Freddie Carter was by far the best actor in the movie. I think he played his part perfectly. He's the perfect amount of kind of goofy, but also like genuinely creepy. I just think he did a great job. Mike is kind of boring in the movie. He doesn't really do anything. Like, he goes and meets Henry, which is a great moment for him, but his character doesn't really progress, except for at the end when he says, "Leave me the fuck." I forgot to mention that he says, "Leave me the fuck alone" to Vanessa, which I liked. I thought that was great. Vanessa has done nothing. It felt very realistic. It was a very realistic reaction. Obviously, Mike knows about her trauma, but in the moment of, Abby almost getting killed and literally being possessed in front of his eyes, he said, "Fuck off. Like, get away from me. I don't want anything to do with you anymore," which I liked. I really liked that. And it's further showing how much Afton has cursed these people's lives. Like, Afton continues to curse Vanessa's life, even driving away her best friend. Like, it's kind of great. I like that. There's like, see, there's strong things. There's strong things in the script, but there's a lot that is pretty fucking bad, and it's hard. I think like it's a very mixed bag. I think it leans more on being a pretty bad movie. Obviously, if you don't care about Five Nights at Freddy's, you're gonna think this shit's horrible. But in the context of Five Nights at Freddy's, which is, in other words, is lowering my standards a little bit, it's okay. It's not great. It's not terrible. I've thoroughly explained what I don't like about it. I don't know if I like it more or less than the first one, though. That's sort of the thing I'm struggling with. The first one feels a lot more grounded, but it's also, you feel the budget of the first one. This one definitely feels bigger in terms of budget. It feels more like a movie, but I don't know. I think the better one, I think the first one was written better for sure. Written a lot better. But it's also, at the same time, the first one's written terribly. So it's like comparing shit to shit. Which piece of shit tastes better? I don't really know. I mean, the whole plot of the first movie makes no fucking sense. Like, you just have to like turn your brain off for half of it, or else, you know, you'll short circuit trying to figure out what's even going on. And both are kind of like that. So, I don't know. Oh yeah, I forgot to talk about Michael. Michael like reveals his whole master plan at the end, I guess. I talked a little bit about it, but it's also another very confusing thing because they don't make it really clear like what it is, or if he's like what's happening. He's working with Charlotte, but not really. Like, he's continuing his father's legacy, but like his father's fucking dead. So did he tell him to do this stuff? Why is he working? Like, there's a lot of questions. Although I did catch that. I assume that the wireless connection turning back on is him. So that clears things up a little bit. But I don't know. I'm rambling. I've been rambling for 2 hours. You should see it if you like FNaF. It's worth seeing. I didn't, it's not like I regretted seeing it in theaters. It's a fun movie, but it's also pretty shit. I think on Letterboxd I gave it a 3 out of 5, which you can think something's bad and still like it a lot. I like the movie a lot. I think it's really bad. It's like, I feel so conflicted, but like those two things can be true at the same time. That's the end. Goodbye.
I was gonna go through all of the Easter eggs that I found throughout the movie, but Hyperdroid's video just did it like way better and found way more than I did. So you should just go watch his video instead. I'm not gonna be doing that. There are some really cool ones though. The RWQ one is like an easy one to point out. Done really well. I wish there were more scares like that in the movie. It's quick, blink and you miss it literally. Very nice. A lot of UCN references, which is interesting. But just go watch his video. It's really good. All right, goodbye.